just had talk to us for a moment, Scott and we had Roxanne and Tim and Melanie and Mike and Mike Demke. I mean, these guys are leaders, and I'm just so grateful for them and the leadership that we have within the company, because they're there to help you become successful. That's their purpose. How many companies can we work with, whether the employer is there to make sure that you're successful? Most companies are interested in their own success. Well, here in Q Sciences, they're interested in yours, and they're there to work for you. And you can pull and draw from a lot of talent. I've often said, in order to have what we have not, we must first become what we are not. As we become what we are not, then what we have not becomes the natural manifestation of the person we've now become. But in order to become what we are not, we must first be able to see ourselves, each other, that which is around us, and that which is within us, not just as we are today, but as we can become tomorrow, which is the way I pray Heavenly Father sees each one of us. You see, the moment that you see yourself, not just as you are, but as you can become, in your family, in your home, financial, career, physical and health, social, cultural, spiritual, ethical, mental, educational areas of your life, and you hold on to the vision, something amazing happens. It grows into a desire. It's the first step of faith, the ability to see things not as they are, but as they can become. So you hold on to a vision. You create the vision, you hold on to the vision. That's all it takes. The vision grows into a desire. Now, as you nurture the desire, that's a process of visualization, prayer, meditation, affirmation, proclamation, declaration. The desire then grows into a passion. Now you gotta have it. The passion compels us to action. The action helps create the end result. And I ask people, where does it all begin? It begins with the vision. Ideas affect the way we think affects the way we act, and the way we act to a large degree determines our results. So if we want to take charge of our results, we have to be willing to take charge of the ideas that we are allowing ourselves to be exposed to on a day-to-day basis. Because if we don't, then by default, the ideas that we are constantly being exposed to, they begin to take charge of us. And as a result of that, most people that I know live in a reactive mode. They are constantly on a day-to-day basis allowing the conditions around them to far too often determine the conditions within them. Our objective here at Q Sciences is to help you with a vision, to help you see yourself not just as you are, but as you can become. The reason that I joined Q Sciences is because they have a powerful vision. They've got an incredible product. They've got incredible leadership ability, and they've got a plan. And if you follow the plan and you work with your teams, you will become successful, not just in what you achieve, but in who you become in the process of what you're achieving. And that's why I've joined my program with Q Sciences. They say if you could do just one thing for your overall health, the number one thing that you could do, you know what it is? Exercise. It's exercise. Yeah, and we're going to show you the number one exercise program that's available as well. So, what would it mean to you if your body consisted solely of well-adjusted, capable, stronger, healthier, more efficient cells, whose ability to carry out their functions was greatly enhanced? How would that make you feel? How would that help you perform? And what quality of life would that allow you to lead now, or 10, 20, 50, or even 100 years from now? That's what we offer within Q Sciences. It's an overall wellness program. It recognizes that everybody here has something in common with one another. You all began as a single cell. One very intelligent cell. A cell imbued with an intelligence that knows how to create, maintain, and heal the body. But far too often, rather than work with the cells, we end up working against them or manipulating them. And many times we don't even know we're doing it. Well, what Q Sciences offers is a common sense approach toward developing a better relationship with ourselves and ourselves. It literally recognizes that how we provide for ourselves today has a lot to do with how they're going to be able to provide for us tomorrow. Having the proper nutrients is essential to maintain the structure and integrity of the body. Having the proper exercise is essential for the body to be able to utilize the nutrients effectively. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. When I began this program, 1989, ironically about the same time that Scott mentioned his wake-up call, my wake-up call came as a result of an asbestos and pesticide poisoning. I was an insurance agent with Mass Mutual in Newport Beach, California. Average-looking insurance agent. I had a little double chin and a little belly. No, not to offend insurance agents, but I was not in the best shape, and I needed to get in better condition. So I decided I was going to take 18 flights of stairs up to my office in the morning. And sometimes I'd only get up 9 flights, and I'd cheat, and I'd grab the elevator and take it up the rest of the way. But I got to the point where I was doing this pretty well, and huffing and puffing and breathing hard. And on this one particular day, unbeknownst to me, they were doing asbestos removal in the building, and they had closed off an entire floor. And as I'm huffing and puffing and heading up the stairs, the door was open, and all this asbestos dust had evidently been pouring down into the stairwell. I didn't know it. And so here I am breathing this dust, and I get up to and I didn't know that they were doing asbestos removal at the time, but I got up to my office, and my entire body started to shake uncontrollably. I was shaking. I was like, wow, I must have overdone it. So I sat down, and I just watched my body shaking. What happened? Well, the next morning, I woke up, and that particular day, they had also done pesticide poisoning in our apartment complex and in all of our rooms. So I slept that night, woke up the next morning, the right side of my lymphatic system had collapsed. It felt like a net that had just tightened up all around this side of my body. I could try to lift my arm up, and it felt like it was tearing. And so I took a hot shower thinking maybe it'll loosen up. I had no idea what was going on, but I didn't feel too well. Over the next several days, I got worse. My lymph nodes swelled up. My skin color changed. I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what it was. I went to the doctors. They did tests. They didn't test for asbestos. They didn't know how to treat it anyway. But I ended up getting, over the next 2 years, large lesions that would grow in my neck and my shoulders and my face as the asbestos dust particulates were trying to get out of the body. I had 2 young children and a third on the way. My liver was shot. I felt horrible every day, and I had to keep moving forward. I began doing a lot of praying, a lot of soul searching, believing that if I could find a way that I could live long enough, because I really wasn't too sure at that time, that I believe my body could heal itself. And in that process of discovery and of trying various different things, I found a mini trampoline, and I started to use it. Well, within 1 month, my arms were bigger, and in 1 month, I dropped a belt notch. And my wife asked me, "Are you lifting weights?" I said, "No, I'm just playing on this thing before I go to work." After 6 months, I was feeling better. My energy level had soared. My stomach was flat again. People began asking me, "David, what are you doing?" So I started to share it with them. I was invited to speak before a Rotary Club, and then another one heard that I spoke, so I was invited to another Rotary Club, and it started to spread, and then it was Kiwanis and Lions and senior citizen centers. I did that for about 3 years, woke up one day and said, why am I selling insurance? I took what I discovered out on the road and I reignited an entire industry, turned down nearly half a dozen commercial opportunities because I wouldn't compromise the integrity of the product. I'd originally been using a typical rebounder or mini trampoline, and it kept hurting my back. 1995, my dad was permanently disabled on a typical rebounder, attempting to do my exercises, and that was part of my motivation. So I'm gonna share with you what we discovered, but I'd like to share just a few testimonials with you, because is there anybody here over 7 years old? Is there anybody here over 7 years old? Yeah. Not really. Oh. Cells don't get old. They're always replacing themselves, but cells get weak. And when cells get weak, body parts and functions also get weak. Well, the great news is that we can strengthen and improve the efficiency of our cells at any age. And I'd like to demonstrate a couple of stories on that. This lady here, I'm going to show her to you in a moment. She heard me on the radio and started to Cellercise. 3.5 months later, she calls up the Seattle Times newspaper and says, you've got to get this information out to the public. Seattle Times had no idea what she was talking about, but they asked her, how old are you? And Ruth Mary says, well, I'm 94. They said, where do you live? So they did an article, put her on the front cover of Section E of the Seattle Times newspaper, sitting lotus style on her Cellerciser, telling her story. She writes me a letter. You're welcome to read it. In the letter, she says that the Cellerciser saved her life, and she explains why. But then she goes on to say that since the printing of the article, that the Seattle Times has had more requests for copies of that paper and duplications of the article than of any other article that ever printed. We're going to talk about a whole different methodology of exercise. So if you're watching this, grab whoever you can, because you will never look at exercise the same way again when we're done with this. All right, another lady started. She started in her 80s. By the time she was in her 90s, she was skiing at 101. She's featured here. She was celebrating her birthday tobogganing. Her daughter is one of my customers. This lady here began at 94. You can see her Cellercising, and then she's running in place, and then she's real proud of herself because she's doing jumping jacks. 94 years of age. So again, what I'm saying is cells don't get old. We can improve the efficiency of our cells at any age. I'll be 58 in October. I can't believe that. But I don't lift weights. I'm not a bodybuilder by any means. But the Cellerciser is the only thing I do. It's the only exercise I get. I've been doing it now for about 25 years. So my muscles aren't real big, but they're strong. They're firm, and they're that way throughout the body. The kind of strength that you get on a Cellerciser is totally different. For me to stand here, and I'm probably going to go out of the camera eye here, but for me to stand here with balance, which has nothing to do with age, we're going to talk about that too. It's a physiological function, period. We can improve it at any age. But for me to stand here, stick my leg out in front of me, sit down to the ground, and then stand up again, it's easy. It's a byproduct of what the Cellerciser has done. Juan wrote me, he says, David, you should warn people it's going to affect their vision. I said, why? What happened? He says, I used it after a few months. I put it in the closet. I wouldn't go anywhere near it because every time I put on my glasses, after I used it, it got harder and harder to read. I said, what'd you do? He said, well, I finally went to the doctor. What did he say? He said, I needed new glasses, but with less power. He said, because it had improved his vision. I said, would you be willing to write that? So he did. He says, my vision has improved. I used to have 5.5 diopters. I now have 4.5 diopters. I'm nearsighted. I thought I was getting worse because I could not read. I needed new glasses, but with less power. Thank you, Juan Crevetto. Lady here. I'm sharing some of these with you because we all know somebody who's got knee problems, hip problems, back problems, digestion, elimination problems, circulation problems, stress disorders, bladder control issues, headaches, the list goes on and on. And when your cells are stronger, healthier, working more efficiently, your circulation is better, the body parts and functions work better. We have no limited audience. We have children with autism jumping on a Cellerciser, and mothers who call me up to say, thank you so much. It has changed our lives. It creates balance. We're going to talk about balance, and you're going to see some demonstrations of that. Lady here, she says, I invested in the Cellerciser from you at the Denver Whole Life Expo. It's been a while, but for various reasons I had not consistently used it. She says, however, since last mid-August, I have been consistently using it from an average ranging from 15 to 30 minutes a day. I use a timer and track my minutes for morning, afternoon, and evening jumps. I had the test for osteoporosis done last July. My T-score was negative 3.1, which meant I had osteoporosis. I just had the test redone in mid-April, and my T-score had improved to negative 1.7 into the range of osteopenia. Doctors say you can't improve your score, and even alternative medical professionals usually say the score can only be improved by 0.2 or 0.3 if you're lucky. I just improved mine 1.4 points in less than 9 months, so 45% improvement. I've been tracking my T-score since January of 2000. It's the best score I have ever had. So, and she says, I credit the Cellerciser for my improvement because it's the major consistent lifestyle change that I made beginning mid-August. Lady here, migraine headache since 1958. Calls me up and says, can I use it? I said, can you walk? She says, not really. I'm bedridden. I'm on IV medications. Lidocaine, morphine. I mean, I can't even pronounce all of these. Vicodin, Imitrex, Cellercise. She says that she couldn't take any more medications because her body functions were beginning to shut down. She had a tremor disease. She couldn't even hold a glass of water steady. I said, you may need somebody to help you get on and off it. Use it for a little while. If it works, great. If not, you can return it. 30-day money back anyway. So she gets on it. I didn't hear back from her for 30 days, 60 days. 90 days go by and I get a 2-page handwritten letter. Her handwriting's better than mine. In this handwritten letter, she says, David, for the first time, and you're welcome to read this, it'll bring tears to your eyes. It has to mine many times. She says, the first time since 1958, she is totally migraine-free. She's off all pain medications. Her tremor disease is gone, and for the first time in 4 years, she's able to paint again. She writes me the last paragraph. She says, since having such great results physically, I'm feeling so much better mentally. First, I give thanks to the Lord and thank Him for you, your work, Dave, and your development of the Cellerciser. How much pleasure and satisfaction you must receive from your work. Thank you so much. The Cellerciser has given me a new lease on life. The list goes on and on. Ladies who got rid of their cellulite in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. Is there a market there? You know, doctors who told me they took one look at my Jamba run, it's a technique I developed on the Cellerciser, and they said, David, that's so intense it'll grow new capillaries, which had to have happened for them to get access to that wide adipose tissue. This gentleman here, one more, and then we're done. This gentleman here, his name is Robert Gent, and when I met Robert, he'd been a semi-professional athlete from the 70s. And wasn't able to compete anymore. He'd torn up his knees and his back was not in good condition. And I talked to him about this, and Dr. Corman understands it. I talked to him about the supporting muscles and ligaments around the joints and how essential they are to support the skeletal system, which can't support itself. So often through weaknesses in the supporting muscles and ligaments or compromise through injury, we end up with too much stress or tension on the joints. We lose circulation between the joints, we lose the synovial fluid and in the cartilage, and we end up with bone on bone and a lot of problems. And what we do is we have surgery, and they replace the knee or they replace the hip, and it's a band-aid to the problem often. And there's other issues that come as a result of the implants. where the osteoblastic activity is weaker around the implant itself, continues to deteriorate, and we have more problems. When we address, which is what I did, address the supporting cause of the problem, which is often simply re-strengthening and structuring the muscles and ligaments around the joint, very often the problem goes away. Well, I worked with Robert for about 2 hours, teaching him numerous techniques and working with him on the Cellerciser. He did it, took it to heart. A few months later, he goes out for the Senior Games pentathlon. He wins first place in all of North America. He's considered the best on the continent. In his 60s, he leg presses 880 pounds. In his 60s, there he is, best on the continent. And he writes me a letter. He says, David, it's been miraculous, the positive influence that your trampoline has had on my body. I've spent thousands on supplements the past 15 years. I've tried every strength, Pilates, stretching routine available. And nothing has worked like your, we don't say this word, but nothing has worked like your tramp to help me get my joint and muscle health back. Helen and I are sold on what you created. The list goes on and on. Since we're all made up of cells, about 75 trillion of them, doesn't it stand to reason that if each one of your individual cells were stronger, healthier, and working more efficiently, that your body parts and functions would also be stronger, healthier, and working more efficiently? Does that make sense? Okay, what I'm about to share with you right now, this isn't science fiction. This is science fact. But this isn't the exercise of the past. I call it the exercise of the future. We just make it available to you today. This is exercise at the cellular level. We've all been exposed to exercise at the muscular level, haven't we? We've bought into the idea that you have to tear down to build up. You'll never see a monkey, cat, dog, or any other animal or species out there tearing down to build up. We've learned how to manipulate the body. We've done it with drugs. We've also done it with exercise. It's okay. We know how to do that, but when you tear down to build up, you build hard muscles. And if you take it to extremes, you lose flexibility, timing, speed, and coordination. Ligaments and tendons take longer to catch up to the muscles, which is why Cellercise is so important for people who are doing CrossFit, fitness programs, and weightlifting, and who are involved with athletics, because if the ligaments and tendons can't support the strength of the muscles, we end up with more problems, and some of them can be permanent. And so the idea of no pain, no gain, you got to tear down to build up. You've got to do 20 minutes of aerobics as if your cells have watches, and 20 minutes means anything to a cell. I'll show you how to challenge your cells beyond their current capacity so they adapt to the challenge you give them. The amount of time is relative to the overall program as how the cells are challenged within that amount of time. Have to sweat. You've heard that you have to sweat to get a good rest. Sweating just means the body's overheating. It's the only way it knows how to cool itself down. You can get all the exercise you need without sweating if you want. And I'll show you how you can do that too. I'm not saying sweating is bad for you. I'm just saying that it's not necessary and not appropriate in all environments. The fitness industry has capitalized on the idea of you thinking in terms of muscle groups and body parts. It's never treating the body collectively as a whole as much as it is you work one area of the body, then you work in another area of the body and another area, and that's demonstrated by the myriad of different exercise equipment we've been exposed to over the years. You've probably heard of some of them. Wedges, abdominal boards, rowers, ski toners, porta bike, fitness climbers, stairmasters, health riders, Nordic track, Schwinn Airdynes, Life Cycle, Life Force, Time Cruncher, Thigh Masters, Ab Blasters, Soloflex treadmill, Cyclone body gym, Total gym, Torso track, Full Flex, Gazelles. The list goes on and on. And let's admit, as long as we buy into that methodology, we can pretty much rest assured every 6 months or so the fitness industry will find another way of packaging another piece of exercise equipment just a little differently to motivate you to add your ongoing collection. Because frankly, that's how they make their money. And yet the principle, and we're going to talk a lot about this, the principle upon which all exercise is based is exactly the same. They all work by applying weight or stress to a certain part or function of the body over and over until it adapts by becoming stronger. And all those body parts and functions and muscle groups are made up of what? So suppose there was one exercise which at the cellular level would apply weight to every single muscle in your entire body over 100 times a minute, strengthening all your muscles all at the same time. But it will go well beyond that. 75 trillion cells flexing over 100 times a minute instead of a few muscle groups can burn a lot of calories. Reduce body fat. Firm your legs, thighs, hips, buttocks. Strengthen your arms. Increase agility. Improve balance, rhythm, timing, dexterity, hand-eye coordination. Stimulate the thyroid, the adrenals, and the endocrine system. Detoxify the liver. Help to improve kidney circulation, digestion, and elimination processes, which are critical for good health. Help to loosen the lower back, increase oxygen blood flow to the brain. Help to open up blood vessels and arteries. A program that's being featured more and more in health magazines and books and articles that encompass the entire body now as a whole, not as parts. This is a program that includes an isometric for toning the body, but it doesn't just tone from the inside out. If you want to become firmer, tighter toner, we generally work from the outside in. But when muscles get weak, we know they sag. What happens to the internal organs when they get weak? They drop too. We get in our mid-30s, everything falls. We think that's part of the aging process. How many are over 7 years old? It's not. It's weaknesses that are occurring within the body. Connective tissues hold those internal organs in place. One of the reasons boxers do a lot of jump roping is to help strengthen those connective tissues, so when they get hit in the head, the brain's not loose up there, crashing against the skull, causing a knockout. So these help to tighten and tone from the inside out. Isometric, isotonic, for muscle mass and bone density. But not by lifting weight away from gravity. It's by increasing the weight of gravity. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Calisthenic for targeting. I'll show you how you can target to focus on the thighs, the knees, the hips, the buttocks, the waist, the arms, underneath the chin, opening up bronchial tubes in the lungs. How to improve a golf swing naturally, a baseball swing, tennis stroke, being used by professionals for this very reason. It's a program that is an aerobic for conditioning, and it's a flexibility program, now listen to this, all within 10 minutes a day, the whole thing. It does it all within 10 minutes a day. In the convenience of your own home, at the office, or while you travel, you don't have to change your clothes, and you do not have to break out into a sweat in order to enjoy its benefits. Anybody interested? Sound too good to be true? Yeah, it would be if we were talking about the current methodology of exercise, but we're not. We're talking about a whole different methodology. In fact, I don't even like to call it exercise. Can I have everybody say exercise? Exercise. Now say Cellercise. Cellercise. Thank you. With Cellercise, you'll never have to exercise the same way again. A basic understanding of how all exercise affects the body will help us to better understand Cellercise. I'd like to propose that the common denominator of all exercise is opposing the gravitational pull of the earth or creating some sort of a resistance. Let's examine the statement. If I were to lie down and do push-ups, I apologize for those on the screen, what is the force I have to push away from to lift my body up? Gravity. If I'm doing leg lifts, what force do I have to oppose? Gravity. Pull-ups, sit-ups, same thing. We can apply the concept to the accepted aerobic activities of walking, jogging, and running. When I take my center of balance, which is right about here, it used to be a little further forward, about here. But as I move that, some of you can relate to me, I'm sure. But as I move that center of balance forward, I feel the force of gravity pulling down on me, causing me to take a step, or I land on my nose. We can apply the concept of weightlifting. Weightlifting is simply taking a mass of something and moving it away from gravity over and over. As far as the body is concerned, do you think it cares how sophisticated the equipment is? It doesn't matter whether it's connected with pulleys, fulcrums, wheels, arms, cables, chains, or rubber bands. At the end of the cable, the chain, or the rubber band, you still have the weight or the resistance. And it is simply the weight of resistance against the cell membranes over and over that causes the muscles to get bigger and stronger. Because the cell doesn't want to rupture, it fortifies its membrane with more protein to compensate for the increased amount of weight. Swimming's a great exercise, except for the chlorine. That'll kill you. Just does it a little bit at a time. But irrespective, what is it that pulls down on the water molecules, creating the density necessary to allow us to have the resistance to move against water? Gravity. So you see the common denominator then of all exercise is opposing the gravitational pull of the earth or creating some sort of a resistance. Now if that's the case, then all I need to do to become stronger is to learn how to stand heavier. Right? Like this. Not exactly. But I am going to show you a way that you can stand heavier over 100 times a minute. The key to Cellercise was given to us as early as 1911 by Albert Einstein. He observed that the human body cannot tell the difference between the forces of acceleration, deceleration, and gravity. To the body, it's all weight. Well, we have a good working knowledge of gravity, so let's consider a moment the forces of acceleration and deceleration, and let's admit these forces exist. And they have the same effect on virtually anybody, because we're all made up of cells, and they pretty much adapt the same way when challenged. Anybody here have a sports car? I don't remember. Corbin, do you?
Yeah.
Yep. What do you have?
I have a Range Rover.
Okay, there you go.
Supercharged.
Supercharged. All right. Now you can feel when you step on that supercharger, when you step on that gas, you can feel the weight of acceleration pushing you back, right?
Yes.
You bet.
Exciting.
And when you come around the corner and you see the deer in front of you, you hit the brake or the decelerator, you feel the weight of deceleration pushing your body forward into the seat belt. Those are forces, and they're real. The fitness industry's really never harnessed them before, and it's probably due to the fact we generally experience the forces of acceleration and deceleration horizontally. And most of us are not going to be going around hitting the gas and the brake all day long to create these G-forces or weight-bearing activities. We generally experience the force of gravity vertically. What if we could line the forces of acceleration and deceleration up with gravity and combine three forces on the body and not just one? We'd have a whole different methodology of exercise. All we would need is a piece of equipment that would allow us to do it. Guess what? Got one. I call it my portable gym. I was at the National Health Federation in Pasadena, California once, and I was talking about how portable it was. And somebody raised their hand and I answered. I said, yes. And he said, well, can I put it in the glove compartment of my car? I did a double take. I said, I don't know. How big's your car? I think you meant the trunk. But yes, it can fit under a trunk, under a bed, behind a door. I take this with me in the overhead luggage bin of most commercial airlines. This unit here is either 9 or 10 years old. We don't know exactly when. I've got to figure it out. I take it with me. The more you use a Cellerciser, it becomes like a slipper. It just feels better and better. All the moving parts just gets more adapted to the movements. It feels great, but I also want you to see how well it holds up. The newer units are built better than this one. Now, the Cellerciser has a unique history, and I'm not going to go into great detail, but I want to give you a little background so that you can help other people who think that a typical rebounder is something that they can get the benefits from. When I began in the industry back in the early 90s, virtually every unit on the market, they were all using these little tube springs. You're nodding your head. You know what I mean. These little tube springs would stretch only a little bit. At the end of the stretch, they didn't slow you down gradually. They just stopped very abruptly. A jarring effect that could often break the spring, which could also damage the person using it. In 1995, Dr. Morton Walker came out with an article in the Townsend Letter for Doctors warning doctors to avoid these, saying that the abrupt jarring effect was the same as landing on the floor. He just did it a moment later. Well, I then introduced, in the early 90s, the barrel-shaped spring. I call it the soft bounce rebounder. I travel all around the country reigniting the industry. The barrel-shaped spring allowed the body to gently decelerate and accelerate without the jarring effect. The problem is that everybody started coming out with barrel springs, and they all look the same until you stand on them. When the steel in the spring is too weak, you sink, and the feet pronate every time you land, causing ankle problems, knee problems, lower back problems. So I had to do something about that. I then created the triple tier tapered spring design. I don't know if you can see that, but it actually has a ridge here where it tapers, then another ridge where it tapers, so that the ridge helps to focus the weight toward the center of the spring. It's a different feel. Great support. It doesn't matter whether you're 100 pounds or 300 pounds. It's the only self-adjusting type spring of its kind on the market. It's our patented design made available through Q Sciences. The steel in this spring is so strong, it destroys conventional spring molds. So we had to create a tungsten steel mold just to be able to produce our springs. You'll utilize the center portion of the spring. If you are jumping higher or you weigh more and you need more spring, then it graduates toward the other end of the spring. But you do not ever come to an abrupt stop or jar. So you get G-forces without the jarring effect, which allows you to get the advantage, or have the advantage of the different movements I'm going to share with you. Okay, to open it, real simple. Lay it on the ground. It zips open. This is what it looks like. Don't confuse this with a toy. It's not. You can't buy these at a Sears, Kmart, or sporting goods store. Lie the unit down on the ground. Open it up so it looks kind of like a taco, and pop open the taco. Literally in less time than it takes me to put on a tennis shoe. I'm ready to begin cellercising. Now, I want to tell you a little bit more about some of these features, because they're what sets the Cellerciser apart, just like the Q96 is set apart from other nutritionals. This mat material, this is not made out of the canvas, nylon, or plastics you can find on typical rebounders and mini trampolines. Canvas, nylon, and plastic mats look the same, but the material can stretch, rot, and mildew. When the material stretches, your feet have a tendency to pronate every time you land. There's units out there that use bungee cords or rubber bands. They warm up, they become very sluggish. Same thing. Landing like that over time can cause ankle problems, knee problems, and lower back problems. So, again, we use a triple tier taper spring, and our mat material is made out of a polypropylene where every fiber is put under nearly 200 tons of pressure. It's a lot of weight. You leave it out in the sun, the rain, the snow, it doesn't matter. It's all weather resistant. They make swimming pool covers out of it now because it's UV resistant. I use it because you can't stretch it out. You land anywhere on it, it lifts you straight up. Even at an angle, it lifts you up. You land on a mat that stretches some, not only can your foot roll on you, it can throw you off. You won't feel very secure for the different movements. The springs do not connect directly into the frame. We never wear the frame out. We drill 36 holes through the frame, put steel pins through the holes, and connect the springs to the pins. The frames will last virtually forever. The legs don't screw on, so you don't have to tighten them down. They don't get stripped, stuck, or lost. They fit over a steel post, held in place by heavy-duty piano wire. One of the best wires you can get. Even the rubber tips aren't rubber, they're polymer. They last for years. We've never worn one out. Okay, I'm ready to demonstrate. Cellercise. I just need to change into my Cellercise outfit. So if you'll pardon me for just a moment. Okay. That's it. All right. You don't need anything fancy. We're thinking about special Q Science socks with little rubber things on the bottom, possibly, but you don't need anything special. As I stand here, I weigh approximately 160 pounds, or 1 G. That's the weight of gravity. But as I start to move just this high, a remarkable thing happens. I no longer weigh 160 pounds at the bottom of the bounce. I now weigh closer to 200 pounds, or 1.25 Gs. Now we can measure that with a G meter. Do you know what a G meter is? You may have one in your own home. Yeah, people get up in the morning, they walk into the bathroom, step on it, look down the needle, and some of you even call it by name. OG. G meter. Okay, bathroom scale. All right. Well, if you're going to take that G meter or bathroom scale, put it on the Cellerciser, and then you jump up and down on it. What would happen to the needle on the scale? Yeah, it would fluctuate, registering the greatest amount of weight at the bottom of the balance. Well, we know that 160 pounds comes from the weight of gravity. So where does the other 25% of additional weight that I'm putting on my entire musculoskeletal system, where's that coming from? Yeah, the forces of acceleration and deceleration. You see, as I jump up and come down, I load the springs. That's known as the force of deceleration. The loaded springs then push me back up. That's known as the force of acceleration. Whenever you add the forces of acceleration and deceleration on the same vertical plane as gravity, you end up creating an entirely new G-force that every single cell of your body is constantly being exposed to. So the question then becomes, well, what happens to the cells of your body when you alter or change the G-force? And part of that was illustrated very nicely by NASA, who discovered when the astronauts are in outer space for 2 weeks, they can lose up to 15% of their bone and muscle mass simply because they're weightless. When they're up there for 2 to 3 months and they come down, they're not even allowed to stand up. They're helped out with a stretcher because the body's atrophied. All exercise is trying to reverse that. Well, NASA didn't have time to put weight on all these muscle groups and body parts. What if they missed one? Like the heart, and it was important. They had to find a weight-bearing exercise that was on the entire muscular skeletal system, everything. So they did the research on trampolines in the late 70s, published their findings in the Journal of Applied Physiology. That research led to the mini trampoline industry. However, the units that came out did not support the research until we created the tapered spring design that allowed for acceleration and deceleration. And that became the weight-bearing exercise. So doctors know bones and muscles heal faster and grow stronger when exposed to some stress, right? That's the idea behind the walking cast. Well, as I stand here on a Cellerciser and I start to move up and down, how many cells in my body are moving up and down with me? Yeah, all 75 trillion. If we were to ask any physical therapist, what is the formula for strength? They're going to agree it's stress times repetition. You stress a certain part or function over and over, it adapts to becoming stronger. Well, since I am putting this weight or stress on every cell, as I move up and down, what are the cells going to have to do to compensate? Again. They're going to have to get stronger, aren't they? Because if I didn't, I'd eventually get shorter and shorter and shorter. Now, the body adapts when you apply weight to it by getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Okay, the physiological implications of the G-forces created on the body through the movement up and down, how it moves fluid through the body, how it backflushes valves, very important for health, how it increases oxygen blood flow to the brain and tissue spaces of the body, how it stimulates the thyroid, the adrenals, the endocrine system, liver, kidney, spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, the vestibular balance, proprioceptors. The list goes on and on. We don't have time for it all. But what I would like to do is share with you a few of the basic exercises that we can all benefit from right away. And the first is what I call cell aerobics. Nothing magic about the term aerobics. It simply means that all the cells of your body need oxygen in order to utilize nutrients, by the way, and to burn calories. They receive the oxygen from the oxygen delivery system, which we call the cardiovascular pulmonary system. That's made up of your heart, lungs, arteries, capillaries, and veins. So an aerobic exercise is virtually any activity that stimulates this system to more efficient oxygen delivery. Now, most of us know that walking is as good an aerobic exercise as running. It just takes a little longer. So would this qualify then as an aerobic exercise? And notice the hips are allowed to drop down into the mat, so you're not hitting a hard surface. It can help loosen the lower lumbar. How about this? Does this qualify? So even if I were blind, I could get all the exercise I needed without running into anything or anybody. And if you wanted to train for a special athletic event, well, there's nothing to stop you from doing this. You do that for a few minutes, you'll have steam coming out of your eyeballs. That's a vigorous aerobic activity. But I left a few things out. Barking, biting dogs, rain puddles, potholes, carbon monoxide poisoning, curbs, mailboxes, and rollerbladers that jump out of nowhere. And we've replaced some of the negatives of aerobic activity with some of the more comfortable elements, such as being at home with the family, with the radio on, the air conditioning, or the heater, or simply a lock on the door for safety and privacy. And notice, one size fits all feet. So if you're not using it, your spouse can. If they're not, your children can. And if they're not, grandma and grandpa can. How many people need aerobic activity in their lives? Yeah, we do. How many people need the jar of hitting a hard surface? Okay. I agree. All right, the next exercise is what we call the mighty bounce for building up muscle mass and bone density. I don't do a lot of these. It's more the repetition, but this is effective. But it's not so much the height as it is the intensity of how those cells are challenged. But we generally think of a strength exercise for building up muscles. If we take a dumbbell and we do repetitions of lifting the weight away from gravity, we generally will reach a plateau, right? Eventually. And then we increase the weight and we maintain the repetition and the muscles get bigger and stronger, right? Okay, simple. It's tearing down to build up. It's a different kind of muscle. Nothing wrong with it. I'm going to explain the difference wrong with it. We've already decided or determined that Cellercise is a weight-bearing exercise, and that it's opposing or creating G-forces on the body as I move up and down. So, if I wanted to increase the weight to the cell, so the muscles would get bigger and stronger, so our bones could become stronger, how could I increase the weight on this body while Cellercising? Jump higher. So simple. You see, the higher I jump, the faster I come down. The faster I come down, the more I load the springs. The more I load the springs, the greater the force of deceleration. The greater the force of deceleration, the greater the force of acceleration. You add the increased deceleration with the increased acceleration, all at the bottom of the bounce, you have a whole new G-force. I'm not going to repeat that, but suffice it to say, at that height, I weigh nearly 2 Gs. That's twice the gravitational pull of the Earth. That means every cell is going to have to adapt by becoming that much stronger. See, all of the strength exercises generally just work muscles, and usually only one muscle group at a time. And while it is important to have strong and healthy muscles, isn't it also important to have strong and healthy connective tissues? Ligaments, tendons, bones, skin, biggest organ of the body. How do you get your skins to do a push-up? How do you apply weight on skin so the collagen, the protein fibers become more resistant to the weight? You Cellercise. It's all weight bearing. It's on every single cell through the G-forces. It's not limited. Okay, I've been saving the best for last. It's great to have strong muscles. It's wonderful to have endurance. But I think we can all agree it's most important we have our health. When we have our health, we can pursue our wealth. And we can enjoy it. But when we lose our health, we'll expense our wealth trying to get our health back again. And we've all known people in that position. I think that's what makes what I'm about to share with you worth your time for being here. And for all those who might be watching, this is the most important physical activity I believe we can do on a day-to-day basis. And I learned about it through children. In fact, my daughter kind of was doing this in the crib one day when I was on a Cellercise. Have you ever noticed when a baby first stands up in a crib anywhere in the world, they have a tendency to hold on to the bar, and what do? Yeah. tell me, does it end in the crib? Now, they get out of the crib, they graduate. Now what do they jump on?
Couches, bed.
Yeah. And what do? Yeah, we kick them off. I tell people we knew better. Not only would we encourage them to do it, we'd be up there doing it with them. You see, they're not born with balance, rhythm, timing, dexterity, hand-eye coordination. There are physiological functions that are challenged through those different movements. But we do. We kick them off the couch or the bed. Have you ever noticed how young people dance? Anywhere in the world, they're bouncing off the walls all on the ground. Yeah, aren't they? We get to a certain age in our culture, though, what happens? We stop bouncing up and down. We begin to live this horizontal existence. Even our dance becomes horizontal. We do it day after day, year after year, with gravity always pulling what direction? Is it any wonder by the time we hit our mid-30s, everything that's set up here now sits down here? We stop putting weight on the connective tissues and the supporting muscles and ligaments in those areas. So that movement up and down helps to strengthen that. There's another reason that's so vitally important. Hardening of the arteries is the #1 degenerative disease. Wow. We begin to lose brain function and eyes and various different body parts function. They become, as we lose circulation, or circulation becomes compromised. Can everybody see the vein in this arm here? Okay, if I flex the arm, the vein just sits there, it doesn't do anything. If I hit it, it doesn't do anything. If I walk around, it doesn't do anything. It just sits there. That's our normal day-to-day activity right there, right? Okay, the moment I get on a Cellerciser every morning and I start to move up and down, watch this. Can you see that pumping? It's back flushing the valves and helping to open up the blood vessels. Is that important? It's critical. I don't know of a better way to do it than on the Cellerciser. I wake up in the morning, my eyes feel a little puffy. I get on the Cellerciser and in 2 to 3 minutes the puffiness is gone. Let's talk about why. See, another reason this is so important, it has to do with your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is there to keep you alive and healthy. The lymphatic system is a circulatory system that works its way throughout your entire body. But it's a system of tubes that rather than carry blood, it carries lymphatic fluid, which is basically water, away from tissue space of the body and back into the bloodstream. These lymphatic tubes begin in the lymphatic terminals. They're located in the toes, the fingertips, and other extremities of the body. They're kind of like the branches of an oak tree working their way backwards to branches toward the trunk and in the roots. Well, these lymph vessels work their way up toward the lymph nodes where the lymphatic fluid is cleaned, and then larger lymph vessels or branches carry the lymphatic fluid back up toward what's called the thoracic duct, your largest lymph vessel, like the trunk of the tree, and in through the venous cava area through the subclavian left vein and back into the bloodstream. It's kind of like the roots going back into the soil. Well, there's nearly 3 times as much lymphatic fluid in your body as there is blood. So virtually all of your cells are surrounded by this fluid. When the lymphatic system is circulating properly, it has the ability to flush or suck out the toxins, poisons, metabolic waste that accumulate within the body, which can lead to stress, distress, breakdown in communication, pre-aging, degenerative diseases, even death. Everybody know what a lymphocyte is? You know who Captain America is? Okay. Well, your lymphocytes are kind of like your Captain Americas. They're representative of the 1% of the cells of your body devoted to your civil defense. They're devoted to keeping you alive and healthy. The lymphocytes utilize the lymphatic system to move throughout the body, seeking out and destroying viruses, germs, bacteria, fungus, dead cells, mutant cells, cancerous cells, and other foreign invaders. Dr. Arthur C. Guyton, in his book Medical Physiology, points out that if the lymphatic system were to stop circulating for just 24 hours, we'd be dead. Which means if the lymphatic system is not circulating as well as it potentially can or needs to be, given our current environment and conditions we're being exposed to in the world today, we're going to be more prone to what? Yeah, and according to a number of doctors and lymphologists, if the lymphatic system were circulating as well as it potentially can, it'd be almost impossible to get sick. Well, irrespective, that's a lot of potential. But we see the value, the importance of the lymphatic system operating within our body to keep us alive and healthy. Okay, if that lymphatic system needs to be circulated, I was in California one year, and the term lymphatic pump came up, and I thought that's rather interesting. If the lymphatic system has a lymphatic pump, and I need to make sure it circulates well, I want to protect the pump. Does anybody know where it is? Does anybody know where the lymphatic pump is?
Heart.
That's cardiopulmonary circulatory system. We don't have one. Whoa, we don't have a lymphatic pump. Okay, so how do we stay alive and healthy? The lymphatic system is dependent upon pressure changes occurring within the body to cause one-way valves to open and shut. It holds a negative pressure, so your heartbeat, your breathing creates some lymphatic movement. It's not real efficient, but it creates it. But when you understand that it takes pressure changes to cause these one-way valves to open and shut, to activate the immune system's potential, then you begin to appreciate the dynamics of the Cellerciser. See, as I get on the Cellerciser, those pressure changes that you see happening to the blood vessels are also activating millions of one-way valves in the lymphatic system. It's always fun for me when I go do a lecture or a show and I look at the audience and somebody's got a cold or an allergy and they're stuffy, because I'll ask. I said, let's get them on the Cellerciser. And I'll talk to the audience while I have them doing different things, and their nose just lets loose. They just start running, but they can breathe again, and everything's cleared up. And same principle. It's the same principle. So I get up in the morning, 2 to 3 minutes, the puffiness is gone. Then after I've done my gentle baby bounce, then I do my aerobics. I count to 100. You can do more, you can do longer, but I go generally 1, 2, 3, 4. I try to see how many I can do in a minute. And this morning, about 125, but which is okay. After I've done the aerobics, then I do my calisthenics. The neat thing about Cellercise and calisthenics is that you alter the angle to focus on different muscle groups, but not at the expense of the rest of the body. That's unique. Let me tell you what that means. With a sit-up, for example, you lift your body weight against gravity, and it limits the effect only to a specific group of muscles right here, right? Okay. When I Cellercise, you can hold on to the balance bar with both hands or one hand. I tilt my body. Now it's an isometric. Everything's tight. It's toned all the way down the entire stomach wall. If I hold on to the balance bar and I jog in place at an angle, that's a lot more weight on these muscles. If I kick my legs out, I leverage the weight right there. That's a lot more intense than doing that here. And I have weight not just here, but on every single muscle ligament throughout the entire body. So my body's actually getting stronger in this state as well. The implications of that with athletics is another lecture. Okay, anybody, oh, and if you want to tighten underneath the chin, you do the same thing. You take your 15, 20-pound head and tilt it. Now every time I come down, all the muscles have to hold the head up. And so that starts to tighten that area too. Anybody here have love handles? Anybody love them? Who came up with that? This took me a while to figure out. Holding on to the balance bar again. You see people doing things like this. You know, there's several different programs that do. You know, I don't even know how to do things like this. And I guess it's effective, kind of, sort of, but it's very limited amount of weight. So on a Cellerciser, we hold on to the balance bar, and from our hips, we simply kick out side to side. Every time I come down, I'm leveraging a lot of weight right there. That's a lot more intense than doing this. You're coming down with all that much weight. And as it's still on the rest of the body. So lower back and buttocks help to lift, tighten, and tone the back side. I don't want to kick that chair. Okay, so you lean forward. You can hold on to the balance bar from my hips. I simply kick back. Every time I come down, I'm putting the weight right here. The second most important physical activity, and I teach all these in the DVD that comes with it. The second most important physical activity, loosen the lower back. We're told up to 80% of Americans are going to have lower back problems to contend with. They don't know how to imbibe the disc with fluid or circulation. I'll show you some techniques that help with that. And digestion and elimination, critical for good health. We absorb most of our nutrients through the intestines. With all the additives, preservatives, and chemicals we're exposed to today in our food that we eat, processed food, has a tendency to irritate the inner lining of the intestinal wall. That causes the mucous membrane lining to accumulate, which prohibits us from being able to absorb nutrients effectively. Now, most of us eat every day, right? Okay, so every day is one of my most important activities. I spread my feet apart, bend at the knee a little bit, lift the heels up and down, and I put my intestines and my colon through a little washing machine. And it has helped so much, so many of us to improve digestion elimination processes. But as I'm gently twisting side to side, guess what else I'm doing? I'm massaging the liver, spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, adrenals, as I'm moving up and down and side to side. You see, we don't get that in a static existence. But the moving up and down, side to side, massages that, all of that. I tell people in 2 to 3 weeks you'll feel like a different person. You do it every day because the body parts and functions begin to work more efficiently. You feel better. You don't have all the blockages. You open up the circulation. Drink lots of water. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so this one, second most, also helps to loosen the lower back. You see people do things like this with the upper back, and that's great, but we can do the lower back too. And then I do...
What about arms? Like, do your arms get it just what you're doing, or do you use weights on it? Karen mentioned weights. Is that something you do, or do you just do...
You can, but remember, if you use, for example, 2-pound weights, and I started a couple years ago playing around with it. If you do that, they're not 2 pounds when you're bouncing with it. Okay, you can do it a different way. And this is what I use more often than weights, because weights aren't convenient for me. So I create the weight. I'll do an isometric where and this is on the more advanced DVD, it's Cellercise, the ultimate exercise. I show these techniques. You push down and pull up. In fact, I was just showing Darren this the other day, and because he was lifting weights, I said, you don't have to, but you're pushing, you're resisting up and down. And we're to the back of the arm, then you switch and you do the other side. If you want to do, with the bouncing, it's more weight than you would be able to apply yourself. For chest, you're pushing in, it works all the way around the chest. I'll do that one. And then for the back of the arms, this helps, but this one does too. You actually cup your hand, push down and pull up while you're bouncing. Try it for a minute. It doesn't take long. If you can go a minute, it'll burn because you've got all these cells working. They're depleting your oxygen very quickly. So yeah, there's lots of techniques. And we have women who've gotten rid of their cellulite in 2 to 3 weeks. I think I need to show you this. Men, same thing. If you have a stomach, you want to get rid of it, don't do sit-ups. All you will get is frustrated. You'll have strong stomach muscles, but nobody will be able to see them. They're too small to burn off the weight. The biggest muscles of the body have the greatest demand, therefore they give us the fastest results. Aerobic activities will incorporate the biggest muscles. Those are found in the thighs and the buttocks. What I'm about to demonstrate with you can only do on a Cellerciser. You cannot do it on the ground. You would hurt your back. But the Cellerciser supports it, and it's extremely intense. All of it. Anybody have tried it? Yeah. You'll develop a love-hate relationship, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You'll love it because it works. You'll hate it because it's hard. It's intense. You don't have to do a lot of it. metabolism soars as you keep doing this, as many of us have found out. Okay, keeping your back straight and your feet flat, you can hold on to the balance bar. You don't want to lean forward because it takes the weight off the thigh. Keep your back straight, keep the weight on the thighs. Very important. And then you run as fast as you can without lifting your feet up off the mat. You're pushing down into the mat. You won't last 20 seconds without feeling that burn. Just like this. When you're done with your first set, then you'll be done. You'll stand there, lift the heels up and down while you get ready for your next set if you really want to work it. And every time you lift the heels up and down, it pumps the calf muscle, which helps the heart move circulation. And as you're pumping with the calf muscle moving up and down, it helps reduce edema, swelling, and varicose veins. And so that movement, very important, weakest area of circulation from the heart. Okay, jump or run. Hips, inner outer thigh, lateral knee, both sides of the knee, step across side to side like this. This is very important, and very few exercises are dealing with those ligaments and tendons that support the lateral movement, but very important for athletics. But as you get stronger, you can sit down a little further, or you can go skiing. It's the same burn feeling you would have if you were on the slopes. And then I'll show you one more. This is one of the potential infomercials that I turned down. And this is a graduated movement. You can start off, women who've had children that really want to tighten and tone the lower abdomen. This is excellent. It helps promote contractions right after having childbirth. But you keep your feet on the floor to start with. Put your hands by your hips. Start to bounce up and down. And when you're strong enough, and you feel strong enough to take away your hands, why am I still moving? It's all being done right there with the stomach. As it gets stronger, you can lean back further. Lift up one leg. It leverages the weight right there in the lower abdomen where everybody wants to work. When the leg gets tired, lift up the other one. You're working the thigh too. As you become strong enough, you can lift up both legs, bounce a little higher. This is all being done right here with the stomach muscles. As you continue to get stronger, then you can go cheek to cheek. And now you're working the obliques, both sides of the stomach wall, or in and out, or up and down. I don't know of any sit-up that'll come close. I really don't. All right. We're going to do a real quick demonstration. Is there somebody here who has not done the strength and balance test with me that hopefully is a little skeptical? Anybody skeptical? Come on up. Have you been on a Cellerciser today?
Never.
Okay. Oh, good. All right. You can take your shoes off if you'd like. And watch this. The light bulb hasn't gone on yet. It's going to. All right. Because this is real. What I want you to do, what's your name?
Kathy.
Kathy, David. Okay. Thanks, Kathy. All right, Kathy. Take your feet, spread them apart. Kind of bend to the knees, a horse stance. Keep your back straight. Take your hands, put them in front of you. Elbows into your side. Just like that. Okay, well, remember that position. We're going to come back to it. Kathy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push down on your hands. I want you to attempt to not move. Attempt to resist me without any movement.
Okay.
Feel how hard I'm pushing down. And feel how I push.
Okay.
Be aware. Okay, ready? Okay, as I push down, you resist. That's pretty good. Okay. Came right over. Come on, you could try just as hard as you can. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay, resist. Now I'm just going to push down, and you're coming right forward. Okay. All right, come on up on this Cellerciser. All right, Kathy, I want you to take your hands, and I want you to put them up on the trapezius muscles. Hold on to these muscles with your fingertips. Get a squeeze on them. Okay, now, these are the muscles that help hold up our posture. They're also the muscles when we get a lot of stress and tension. But when these muscles get weak, so the shoulders drop too. So hold on to those muscles, Kathy. Bounce up and down. Keep going. Just like that. Okay. Can you feel those muscles expanding and contracting with weight on them?
Yes.
Yeah, it's too easy. Okay. They have weight on them. All right. That's like taking 5 to 10% of her body weight, putting it on top of her. She's doing over 100 of these a minute. But instead of pushing the weight away from gravity, what's she doing? Increasing the weight of gravity. Oh, big difference. Okay, grab the deltoids, grab the shoulder muscles. People have shoulder problems often because they're not getting enough circulation and or strength and flexibility in the shoulders. But can you feel those shoulders expanding and contracting? Is it a little or a lot?
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. You guys got to try this. This is excellent. Okay, now grab the biceps with your fingertips, squeeze the muscle, bounce up and down. Can you feel the weight on the muscle? Yeah, people say, how do you build up a bicep? Put more weight on it. But how do you do that Cellercising? See, the light bulb hasn't gone on yet. I said, higher. Just jump. No, it's all weight bearing. It's doing it now. That's why I was playing on this the first month and my arms were bigger. I didn't even know what I was doing yet. Take the hands now, put them around your waist, dig into those stomach muscles with your fingertips, bounce up and down. Can you feel the muscles in there expanding and contracting?
Yep.
Too easy. Okay, you're doing over 100 sit-ups a minute. You're still doing over 100 of these a minute. You're doing over 100 of these a minute. You're giving yourself a facial. You don't need it. But all the facial muscles have weight on them, so they become more resistant to the weight. The internal organs are moving up and down. The connective tissue surrounding them, therefore, starts to become more resistant. The entire body is being balanced, too. Is she favoring one side of the body over the other? Yeah. Let's see what happens. Kathy, let's step back down and take the same position. No, that's fine. Elbows in. Yep. Hands straight up. Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right. You try just as hard as you did last time. And tell me if you notice any difference in your strength and balance. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Resist. Wow. Tell them. I pushed her well over twice as hard. I know.
Second time.
Thank you, Kathy. The implication. Right? There's no secret to this. It really does work, and it's so easy to do this. If we're looking for people that we can partner with, that we can work at getting this message out. We have no limited audience. It doesn't matter whether you're a senior citizen, whether you're a child, whether you're an executive, or whether you're a mother, whether you're an athlete, whether you're police, fire departments, it doesn't matter. People with multiple sclerosis have been using this with incredible results. Beautiful written testimonials, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, beautiful testimonials. When your cells are stronger and healthier, working more efficiently, your body parts and functions will be too. So you just ask yourself, do you know anybody who has weight issues that might be interested in this? You share it with them. Have a home party, take the DVD, Cellercise the Ultimate Exercise, have them watch the presentation of it, have the Cellerciser there, but don't have it available. Put something on top of it so they can't jump on it. Have them watch the DVD. It'll explain what it is, why it works. I do a demonstration in front of about 3,000 people, but I explain it all. When you're done, have everybody stand up. They will have been educated. Now you go through and you do the strength and balance test on them, just like I did on Kathy. Do the same thing on them. Go through everyone, and then have them sit down, have them come up one by one, and do just what I did with Kathy. Have them feel what's going on in these muscles. Have them feel the weight. It's amazing. And have them sit down when they're done. Have them all go through it. Then have them get up again, do the strength and balance test, and ask, are there any questions? You know what they're going to ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do I get one? Yeah. How much are they? Oh, okay. Well, I can sell it to you retail, or I can show you how to do it wholesale. It's up to you. But it will change their lives. I will do this, I pray, for the rest of my life. I've got people in their 90s and 100s that are my motivation, because they're still doing it. I suggest if your body could communicate with you in a language we understood, you'd wake up in the morning, walk into the bathroom, and on your forehead it would read, please shake well before using. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, David.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it. Just so you know, Dr. Keith Robbins is going to be our next speaker, and after Keith, Dana Stringham will speak. Dr. Keith is an expert in health and wellness, and he actually developed the equivalent meal replacement in conjunction with the Q Science Science Advisory Board. So if you'd like to take like a 2-minute break, and then we'll start and be prepared for that, and then Dana Stringham will be.
I didn't know that Dr. Robbins was coming up after me, but I take his product every single day. When I started taking his product, those nutrients, my arms started getting bigger, and I was still Cellercising. And people say, "You're looking bigger in forearms." Yeah, I just started taking the equivalent, and I make that with my breakfast meal in the morning, and it's been great. So good nutrients, body can use. Anybody want to use this? You're welcome to try it.
Mr. Hall, thank you very much. No question for you.